We have a message. We have a message from a goat. What do you?
Yo, LB, Philly 500 is my name. Double moonwalking is my game. Now, the guy that I want to put on this draft board today, the guy that I think needs to be on this draft board has to be maybe the most electrifying wide receiver in this draft. Maybe the fastest, maybe the biggest playmaker in this draft. And I'm talking about Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle, 5'10", 183, 184 pounds. He's fast. He is electrifying fast. He's the kind of guy that can take the ball at the 5-yard line and go all the way really, really quick. Jalen Waddle is going to be a stud. And we hear so much about Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, all for good reasons. However, Jalen Waddle, you can put him up there with any of these guys. He is my third best wide receiver in this draft. And at 12, and the way the draft board is going to fall, he could very well be the Eagles' number 12th pick overall. I love Jalen Waddle. I think he is going to be a stud at the next level. And it would be criminal to not have him on this draft board. So LB, today we're going to put Jalen Waddle on our draft board. With that said, LB.
Yeah. Lord Brunson back at you with the back at you, and I am the best reporting on the Eagles. So, before we get into the meat and potatoes, as you might have already realized in case you're living under a rock, you know what I'm saying, the HurtsSZN hat is now sold out. Shout out to everybody that was able to take advantage of the pre-orders and secure a cap that should be getting mailed out in between this week and April 7th, something like that. And shout out to everybody, man, who just gonna be waiting for the next drop. On the website right now it's marked as sold out, so that just speaks volumes of the work we put in and getting behind our no QB1. You know what I'm saying? And let's talk about our QB1, who just told y'all he about to wear number 1. You got to be kidding me if you think that this is by accident. You got to be kidding me if you think that this ain't for a reason. You know what I'm saying? You just got to be kidding me, man. You got to be kidding me. He's number 1. That's why he wearing 1. Do you think the football team would authorize it? You know what I mean? Because it would be taken that way if they didn't believe in him the same way. I told you what season it was. First comes the moving back from the 6th spot out of range of any quarterback that could really probably compete against him. Now he's switching his jersey number to number 1, letting y'all know where he feels. When they talk about the first numbers on the roster, when you're going down 1, 2, Jalen Hurts will be the first name in numerical order on the roster when you're talking about Philadelphia Eagles players next season. And I love it. I love the silent confidence. He not doing a bunch of posting. He not doing a bunch of talking. He not with all of that, man. Do you notice that it's a common theme with some of these young bucks? They want to get out here and say that they feel they the best. Kyle Pitts said he think he gonna be the best to ever do it. You know what I'm saying? Who else just opened their mouth and said, one of the quarterbacks, I'm the best quarterback in this draft. You got to let it play out. You got to go out there and test it. You know what I'm saying? Jalen Hurts ain't talking about it, man. He went through more adversity than all these kids that's coming in this draft put together. The red carpet or the silver spoon wasn't put in Jalen Hurts' mouth. It just wasn't put in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? Everything he got, he had to work for. If he would have went out there and stunk up them 4 games, Carson Wentz would still be on this roster. He'd still be on this roster, and we'd never know what we got out of Jalen Hurts if he would have went out there and didn't put his... He proved himself. He had to prove it. You know what I'm saying? He had to prove that there was a chance that he's the best quarterback on this roster. He had to go out there and prove it. So whether anybody like it or not, it's HurtsSZN, bro. It's HurtsSZN, and him changing his number to number 1 solidifies it to me. Joe Flacco will not beat this dude out in camp. This is not a competition. I see a lot of people want to talk like it is. This is not a competition. If you think Joe Flacco is any competition for Jalen Hurts, you out of your mind. You out of your mind. You know what I'm saying? What are you doing if you think that? It's just not even logical at this point. Come on. Flacco is a sitting duck back there. You talking about a true dual threat who's cut from the cloth for guys like Russell Wilson. I'm not making none of this up. You could see it. You could see it in the tape. You could see it, man. You could act like you don't want to see it all you want. But I know it's going to be a lot of y'all switching over from them hater shades to them pom-poms. It's going to be a lot of y'all switching over to them pom-poms this year, man. Jalen HurtsSZN, man. We're not going to talk about that, man. Let's talk about how deep this upcoming draft is and positions of need for the Philadelphia Eagles. When you talk about wide receiver, you're talking about Devontae Smith. You're talking about Rashad Boatman. You're talking about Jamar Chase. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about Elijah Moore. You're talking about Marshall Jr. You're talking about Tony. You're talking about a lot of guys, and there's more that you can name. Tutu Atwell. People are not even talking about some of these dudes. That's what I'm saying. It's deep. When you talk about cornerback, you're talking about Caleb Farley. You're talking about Patrick Surtain. This is just a few names off the top of my head. You're talking about Asante Smith Jr. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about Shakur Brown. You know what I mean? You're talking about Israel. You know, I don't want to butcher his name. You're talking about certain individuals, man. Dude that played for the Georgia Bulldogs. When you're talking about linebackers, you're talking about Micah Parsons. You're talking about JOK. You see what I'm saying? The list goes on and on and on. Zaven Collins. The list goes on and on and on about prospects of position and need that the Philadelphia Eagles need. 12 is a beautiful spot. It's a beautiful spot. I love it. I love exactly where we're at in this draft, and I cannot stress it enough. 12 is beautiful for us, man. You know what I'm saying? We're sitting pretty at 12. Just sitting pretty at 12. And I think that, you know, we have to ensure, we have to understand that if we don't pick the position that one group of our fan base desires, a lot of people want us to go wide receiver first. If we don't do that first and we go cornerback first, how do you lose? The wide receivers are there into the 5th round. The linebackers are there into the 4th round. The cornerbacks are there into the 4th round. They all over the place, man. We don't really need an offensive lineman, and this draft is heavy with offensive linemen. A lot of teams are going to be picking at these offensive linemen. There's only one position that drastically drops off, in my opinion, in this draft. I think it's tight end. I think after Kyle Pitts, the second dude is good. Then it just spreads out. You know what I'm saying? You picking and choosing. You know what I mean? Listen, man. The spot that we in, we can't take it for granted. Howie Roseman got to do his due diligence. Howie Roseman has to come to play. Howie Roseman has to understand what's at stake here. Because if Howie Roseman messes this draft up with how deep this draft is, if Howie Roseman reaches for something, you know what I'm saying? If he reaches for something, then we could be looking at a bad situation. We could be staring down the barrel of wasting picks instead of using these picks to get out of our situation. A lot of questions have been asked to me on if the Philadelphia Eagles can compete this upcoming season for the draft. I absolutely believe we can compete. I mean, not for the draft, I'm sorry, for the division crown. Yes, we can compete. We playing against a bunch of potatoes. A bunch of potato sacks, man. These are 6-win teams, man. And I mean that respectfully. I mean that respectfully. A lot of these are 6-win teams returning back with the same quarterback, returning back with the same head coach. The Washington football team, different quarterback, same head coach. Actually, the only team that's returning with the same combination pretty much is the New York Giants, because Dak Prescott missed a lot of time. So you're going to see the division take a turn, you know what I'm saying, all for the better. You see what I'm saying? There's no way the division is going to be as bad as it was last year. You know what I'm saying? In terms of what moves were made by division, as a collective, as a division whole, we got to be the front runners, you know what I'm saying, for moves being made for the division. At the same time, I believe the Philadelphia Eagles had just an important or impressive offseason as the New York Giants. I believe it. I believe our offseason was just as important. And I'm trying to tell you, man. When you're talking about off seasons, you got to look at everything, man. You got to look at moving 6 spots to getting another pick for next year. You see what I'm saying? You got to look at Anthony Harris for 1 year. You got to look at getting under that cap. You got to look at, the restructures that were made. You got to look at the players that weren't really producing but were released this offseason. Look at it in its entirety. Don't just look at it in terms of what you did on the free agency market. Don't look at it like that. Don't look at it. You got to look at the overall picture. How well have these GMs performed to set up for the future? And listen, Howie Roseman did a damn good job. Howie Roseman might be in first place in terms of GMs that put his team in a great situation in the upcoming draft and in future drafts. Howie Roseman did his thing with that, so we're not going to deny that. Listen, man, I'm a guy that's going to always talk about the good and the bad in terms of Howie Roseman, in terms of your quarterback, in terms of whoever. If you could remember, I was the one that was saying, no Jalen Hurts, yes Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts won me over. I'm going to keep it fair. I'm not riding with the emotions of the fan base. We're not going to do that here. We're going to call a spade a spade. Howie Roseman has been an exceptional GM this offseason. He might not got the big acquisitions that we all wished he would have got, but he ain't have no money. Every day that goes by, I'm guaranteeing you more people are starting to realize the importance of getting that first round pick for next year from only moving down 6 spots. You're starting to understand the importance of it, I bet. Let me know what you think in the comments.